Hey everyone, it's 10 Hyped, and today I'm going to be talking about some more decks from Night Wanderer slash Shrouded Fable, the next set coming in. I don't know, it's coming before Worlds, that's all I know. And it's pretty cool for a mini set. It's a really great mini set for a main set. I mean, it's not a main set, but if you compare it to one, it's not very good. But for a mini set, which means it has less cards and they're just generally not as good, it's alright. There's some pretty interesting cards, and the first deck we have here is Charizard EX. Whoa, yeah, that's not that interesting, but it runs Dustmore and Dusclops, which I always forget, which is the stage two. I don't remember why, but I do. And so we got Dusk. What is this guy? Dusclops. Was there a Dusclops card? A Dusclops tag team? Why do I think Dusclops is this? No. Okay, yeah, I have no idea why I always get them mixed up. But Dusclops here. Cursed Bomb. You can use this ability and knock yourself out on the stage one, but you put 5 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. In the stage two here, it's the same thing. Of course, it's a stage two, but then it also you put 14 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. And being Charizard DX here, you're a stage two. And so we see two copies. I think two copies of the stage one. This is honestly one of the better images because this is Pokemon Card.io, which has just pictures of deck lists, which are often hard to see. But this one I can see, and it looks like they have two of the stage one in the stage two, so you can place 18 damage counters and some control over how you're spread out, which is really interesting. Obviously, give you prizes, isn't always good if it's not usually good, but it does allow you to one, it allows you to counter catcher, which I'll talk about a little bit more later, but it's really great to be able to counter catcher, and it also allows you so you can like control prizes. With Charizard, you actually do more damage as well. Damage is calculated based on the number of prizes your opponent's taken, and then you also, you place damage, right? You place damage counters, so that's really really powerful because um, you can essentially you can donk your opponent. So you go first, your opponent gets what's something that get play? They are running Chimpao EX, and they get a Frigibax on the bench, right? And then I don't know. I'm trying to think of some deck. I can't think of any. Maybe it's Rotom V. They have a Charmander and a Pidgey, right? Let's just say that. So they got Rotom V, Charmander, Pidgey in play. Then you go ahead and the Rotom V, and then you knock out their Pidgey with your Dusclops. You use your Dustour to knock out their Charmander, and then you go and you knock out their Rotom V with your Charizard EX. So there you go. You've won. You literally just won the game because you knocked out all their Pokemon. So sure, your prize like race isn't that good, but it's okay. And you won. I mean, it doesn't matter, right? So you can do stuff like that. How common will that be? I don't know if it'll be that common, but it is an option, and it's really funny to be honest. I think it's just mostly funny. And pretty powerful if you're able to get that set up. Of course, that means you have your stage two Charizard, your stage one Dusclops, and your stage two Dusknoir, which is a lot. But you never know, right? Maybe you can get this off, and if you do, as I said, you win. So it's kind of funny, and it can have other use cases, not as like essentially insane as that. Next up, we have only one of this list, but it is a Dark Box, Pekkarunt Box, whatever you want to call it, and it runs Okidogi EXs. Well, actually, let me look at the list first. So you see two Pekkarons EXs, two Okidogi EXs, three Munkidori EXs, and a Pheasantipity EX. We also see a Morpeko, a single prize Munkidori, and a Mew EX and a Squawkabilly EX. And actually, this list is like super easy to see. Why don't people just post lists like this? Then we see Janine's Secret Technique as well. Janine's Secret Technique. There we go. I've been recording a lot of videos. I don't know why I'm recording so many today because I'm working on my 1,000 subscriber special. Some of you may be thinking, what, 1,000 subscriber special? Aren't you like well above 1,000 subscribers? Let's not worry about that. But Janine's Secret Technique, choose up to two of your Darkness Pokemon in play. For each of those Pokemon, search your deck for a basic Darkness energy and attach it to that Pokemon. And if it's your active, you poison it, which is really important for Okidogi EX because crazy chain here, Darkness, Colorless, you do 260 if you're poisoned. There's also the tool card, Binding Mochi, I think is what it is. And if you're poisoned, you do 40 more damage. And so you stick Binding Mochi on, and then you are hitting 300. So that's a lot of damage, right? Binding Mochi, yeah, that's 40. And then we got Munkidori EX. Okay, sorry, Pekkarunt EX I'll say first, actually. Pekkarunt EX has this ability that says if you can take one of your Darkness Pokemon on the bench, switch it into the active, and then poison it. This is obviously, poisoning, good for the Okidogi EX, which I just mentioned, and it's a switch, right? You are poisoning yourself, which is in some senses bad. Your other attackers don't want to be poisoned, but whatever. It's a switch. It's a good card, I guess. If you're against Snorlax, it's a good card. And it does have an attack. It is 60 for each prize your points taken. That's actually really solid. It's not like insanely good. And you also can't switch your Pekron EX into the active using Pekron EX. It just doesn't let you do that. But overall, pretty cool card. And then we have Pheasantipity EX. This says, quite simply, if one of your Pokemon is knocked out last turn, draw 3 cards. But if but you can't use more than one ability of this ability per turn. It's called Turn the Tables here. It's translation. We'll see what it's actually translated as. But what its effect is this. And then Cruel Arrow, 3 colorless, but you're only running Darkness. Yep. And you do 100 snipe to any of your opponent's Pokemon, including their active, but more likely one of their benched, which can be nice. I mentioned the scenario earlier. Your opponent has a Pidgey on the bench or a Charmander on the bench. You can just snipe them, and that's nice. So you don't have to boss orders, which you run one copy of, or Prime Catcher, you run 2 boss orders and a Prime Catcher, but you won't always have that, especially if you need to Janine Secret Technique or like Research or Iono or whatever. Lastly, Monkey Door EX, probably one of my least favorite designs of the set, card designs, because it's like kind of silly. It's literally anticlimactic. Ability anticlimax. If your opponent, if you have Pekron EX in play, which you do, it's in the deck. You'll want to play for this, and it's your main attacker. You give up 1 less prize card if you're knocked out by damage from an attack of your opponent's Pokemon. They're always around this. There's a bunch of them, but they won't happen all the time. And then you just do 190 for 3. So really solid. And this deck's actually a really cool deck. It's the built-in package deck of the set. And it's pretty cool. It's not like super insanely cool, but I think it's for a built-in deck for a set. It's cool. It's cooler than a lot of the ones we've seen recently, which haven't been terrible, but like super boring, like Chimp have Excalibur, which is like kind of cool, and um, let's see, we had Charizard Pidgeot, which is kind of cool, certainly not like boring. The Future Box deck, it's a little boring in my opinion. And then the Ogerpon deck, that one wasn't as good as those other ones. But I guess this had that's had Dragapult as well, Twilight Masquerade, but that wasn't really like the deck. That was the built-in deck with lots of pieces. The Ogerpon deck was, but yeah, Ogerpon sees play with Raging Ball. Anyways, now we got Blood Moon Ursaluna, not EX, single prizer, basic Pokemon, 150 HP, really solid for a basic, and it is fighting type, which is probably a good type, and being weak to grass again, probably good. And the ability Empirical Rule, when you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench, attach up to 2 basic fighting energies from your hand to it, and this does not count as your regular attachment for a turn, so you can attach another energy. And then you have an attack your Mad Bite for fighting colorless, and it does 130 more for each damage counter on your opponent's active Pokemon. So let's say they have 2 damage counters on them. You're going to be hitting. So you can essentially view it as 40 more for each damage counter on them. I mean, it's 30, but then they already have damage on them. So if you place, for each damage counter you place, that's 40 more damage essentially that turn, including the damage counter itself. So for calculating, so you place 4 damage counters, or you place 2 damage counters, you're going to be hitting 160. You place 4 damage counters on there, you're going to be hitting 220, which is 220 is a pretty solid damage number. 6 damage counters on there, you're going to be hitting 340. So you're probably one-shotting everything with 6 damage counters if you're able to do that. But then we see this deck here, which is pretty interesting. Honestly, this has some really cool attackers, and I haven't really looked at these decks very much, but this looks pretty sick. Wait, is this for Vengeful Punch? I guess so. Vengeful Punch is a tool that like puts damage counters on. There's some weird stuff in this deck. We got, I think these are. I don't know if these are. Wait, no, these aren't all Ionos. I don't know what these 2 supporters are back here, because I cannot read Japanese, and I have literally no idea. But maybe research it. That doesn't. No, they're definitely not researched. So we have Hassel, and we just have some supporters. Grant's an interesting supporter. You do more damage, but then you have Unfair Stamp, Vengeful Punch, a tool that essentially does damage when you're knocked out. And then the 3 Blood Moon Ursalunas, and then we see which is really interesting in this deck here. Oh, we also see Nightly Stretcher. I think that was in the past decks. It's recover a Pokemon or an basic energy from your discard into your hand. But then we have 2 other attackers, and Radiant Alakazam as well. Radiant Alakazam moving damage around. Pheasantipity EX, I just said earlier, you draw 3 cards if one of your Pokemon was knocked out last turn, which should be happening every turn. And you're not attacking with Fezandipty EX, if you do that, but I don't know. It just seems like, I guess something's gone wrong, or maybe something's gone really right. That seems unlikely, but you have Fezandipty EX here, which is great draw support as well as Tachigiri, and then you have the Sandy Shocks, yeah, that's the name of it, and it does 90 if you have I think 3 energy in play. I don't know. It's played in Raging Bull Ogre Pond right now. Sometimes I play it in the I use Tricky Jim's list, if you know Tricky Jim, a YouTuber. I just copied that one if I ever play the deck, which plays Sandy Shocks, which it's all right. And 90 for one, it's pretty good. I actually want to check what exactly it does because I want to see if it's 3 energies. Yes, it is 3 energies in play or more. So this means that if you have Sandy Shocks in play and then you play the Blood Moon Ursaluna with 2 energies in hand, uh, then you attack, right? Then you do the 90 because you have the one on Sandy Shocks, 2 on the one Ursaluna. So that's pretty cool. And then you have Tinglu. This is a really cool card. We see a bunch of stadiums. I think 2 Ardor Zones and no, that's the third Ardor Zone. We'll see 3 Ardor Zones, but Tinglu is going to discard a Stadium and play and do 30 to each of your opponent's Pokemon, or just does 30 to the active, which isn't so good, but not actually that bad. But yeah, pretty interesting attackers there. 1 energy attackers to kind of set up, and Tinglu EX is, or sorry, single prize Tinglu, so good for Blood Moon Ursaluna because you're spreading a bunch of damage around, and so the spreading the damage means that now you're actually doing extra damage with the Blood Moon Ursaluna by a bunch. So with 3 damage counters on, you're doing um how much are you doing? I feel like I've messed up the damage calculation somewhere. Um, no, with 3, are you doing 220? 3 times 40. Yeah, I think you're doing 220. And you do 60 if you have 4 damage counters on. That sounds right. I don't know. I might have like said the wrong numbers some point, but you're doing pretty solid damage. They'll have 30 on them. You're hitting 190, so you will be hitting 220. And then if you have 4, you're doing still have 260 on them. So that's pretty interesting. And just a really cool concept. This is a deck that wasn't on my radar. Next up, we have another deck. This one's Sandy Shocks EX, which accelerates energy to itself from the discard if your opponent's taking 2 prizes. We also have Professor Sai's Vitality to accelerate. We have Gutsy Pickaxe, and we have the Blood Moon Ursalunas. Then we have Hasuina Arcanine V, which does, I don't remember its multiplier. But it moves as much fighting energy as you want from your hand to it. And then it does, I think, 40, oh no, 90 for it, plus 30 for each fighting energy attached. And you do need 4 energies, which is a lot, but this ramp's pretty high. Not going to try to do the calculations because I'm tired. But yeah, I an Arcanine V, really solid attacking option. We've seen it in some things. Um, there we go. Oh, this is not what I was expecting. But I have seen it with Sandy Shocks DX, but not that much because it's not really strong enough yet. But with this like full combo, it's probably good enough. So pretty cool there. Next we have this list, which one's Iron Valiant EX, and yeah, the next two just also these 2 deck lists both run Iron Valiant EX. Iron Valiant EX, if you swing it into the active, you place 2 damage cards on one of your opponent's Pokemon. So that's why I was going by 2s earlier. So then you do the once. No, sorry, 140. You start off with no, what? You're doing 160, so they'll be at 180, and then you'll be doing sorry, you're doing 160, but they have 2, so it's up to 180, and then with 4 damage counters, they'll be you'll be I'm so lost. I said the thing about the like 4 damage counter or times 40 instead of times 30, but you're doing 30 times 4. You're gonna be hitting 220, so they'll be at 260. So yeah, that's the amount of damage you're hitting, and that's pretty solid. Obviously, you need lots of switches, and it's a little awkward, but pretty cool card and pretty interesting there. And this list is a bit more clear, which you can see, and we see Gift Energy and Jet Energies, really great special energies if you know Lugia V-Star. And Fezandipity EX again coming in. This list runs Okidogi. For fighting colorless, you do. Oh, this has a 4 retreat cost. There we go. 4 retreat cost. So you can use Heavy Baton, but you have Okidogi for fighting darkness essentially, or fighting in a darkness. Sorry, 2 fightings you do 70, but you do 170 if you have a darkness. So if you do fighting plus luminous, that's the fighting and the darkness. So it's essentially 2 energy. You're going to be going ahead and you're going to be doing 170. You have, I think, 230 HP with your ability. So really cool there. And then we also see neutral center. which is a really interesting stadium. It's an A-Spec stadium, so you can only have one A-Spec, but you prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by Pokemon that don't have a rule box. Oh no, sorry. You prevent damage done to your Pokemon without a rule box from your opponent's Pokemon EX and Vs, and it can't be recovered from the discard. So potentially really powerful. You can wall off lots of stuff, and it's kind of cool. I don't know if it's that good. Also, we see the three Blood Moon Ursalunas, and we also see a Cornerstone Mask Ugarpon EX. We see Lana's Assistance. We see a bunch of cool. Wait, is Lana's Assistance? Is that the name? Um, Lana's Aid. There we go. I was thinking of like a translation, I guess. Next up, we got this crazy deck. Not this last one deck, but we got. This is Farigiraf, Zoroark, Liepard. I mean, Babarrel. Wait, they run Babarrel too. This isn't like a super crazy deck. So if you're not familiar with Farigiraf, it's got it has mid rumble, right? Is that the for how do I spell this? There we go. Frigiraf from Twilight Masquerade. Okay, it's Wonderful Rumble. It's translated as Mid Rumble, which is hilarious in my opinion because it's mid. But Wonderful Rumble, which is so weird. Like it's a pun. I guess it's a pun because it's stage ones. I didn't even realize that at first. It's so not good. But whatever. The name, the attack also isn't that good, but it's interesting and it will actually be good in the future. But we don't have the cards yet to expand your bench. But it does 40 for each of your stage one Pokemon in play. You can have up to 6 of them. So you'll be hitting 220 once you got that double turbo energy there. And if you have like 5, and let's say you have reversal, you have 5, you're going to be hitting 200. So you're going to be hitting between 180. I suppose it could be if you just have 4, 160, even 140. 140 is pretty not good. But once you're hitting like 240, that's pretty good if you have all 6 stage 1s in play, and you have lots of stage 1s. You have the new Zoroark, which we'll talk about. You have Liepard, discard 1, draw 2. The Barrel, draw till 4. Oh, wait, there's more stage 1s in here. I didn't even realize. There's Slowbro, which is if you have 2 prizes, or if you have you take 2 prizes if your opponent has 1 prize left, and then you have Rabsca to protect your bench. It's kind of like Manaphy or Jirachi, a little better than them, but it's a stage 1, but it is a stage 1, which is actually good here. We see Team Evolution, Hyper Aroma to get stage 1s, because that's your entire deck. Literally half your Pokemon are stage 1s. And then we have Zoroark as well. Zoroark's really interesting for 2 colors, so same attack cost as Slowbro and of course the Frigiraf, the main attacker. And it does 60 for each of your opponent's EX and Vs in play. Theoretically, if they have 6, you're one-shotting everything. You're hitting 360, but that's probably not happening. But if they got like 3, that's 180. 4, that's 240. And so if they have 4 EX or Vs in play, same damage output as you having all your stage 1s in play with Frigiraf, which you probably don't because one's getting knocked out. So pretty interesting. We do see Salvatore as well to allow you to evolve up immediately. Pretty interesting. Almost like a damage buff as well. I mean, it kind of is a damage buff with Frigiraf. And of course, allowing you to just evolve faster into Slowbro, Liepard, or not Liepard, Slowbro, Frigiraf, or Zoroark. Pretty cool there. And that's the deck I was not expecting. Next up, we got the Dusclops with the Lost Zone engine. So Dusclops, I mentioned earlier, 5 damage, knock yourself out. And we don't actually see any comeback cards. No, sorry, we see an Iono and a Roxanne, so this can allow you to activate them. And then we do see Blood Moon Ursaluna EX, so which can allow you to do that faster. But of course, Lost Zone, a spread deck. We see Darkness Energies for Monkey Dory. We see no Radiant Greninja. Wait, do we see Radiant Greninja? Yeah, we do. I thought although it's not grouped by type, so I was kind of thrown off. We do see Radiant Greninja, but only 2 Water Energies, which I find kind of sketchy. I know people have run that. And only there's 4 Mirage Kate. But that seems kind of sketchy, but you do have Team Devolution, you have Monkey Dory, you have, of course, Sableye, and you have lots of spread options. So pretty interesting there. You do have Lost City as well to, of course, get cards in the Lost Zone for you at times. That can be nice. But, and then, no, sorry, you Lost City. Lost City, what's Lost City say? I'm not super familiar with the card. I'm not sure if it'll trigger with the Dust Zone. I think it will. Yeah. So whenever Pokemon is knocked out, put that card into the Lost Zone. So yeah, you will be putting the Dusclopses into the Lost Zone and the Duskulls. So you're getting extra cards in the Lost Zone, which is really interesting, kind of like the Bayonet, which puts itself into the Lost Zone. And I think this card is really cool. And then you also have, yeah, I mentioned Blood Moon Luna EX. It's a Lost Zone deck, but really cool list here with the spreading element. Next we have United Wings. We have a lot of United Wings, so I don't know how much, like how many lists we got. I don't think I looked at, didn't get all the lists, but I got most of them. It's the deck we have the most of. United Wings is really cool. You got United Wings, which says it does 20 for each, 20 damage for each of your United Wings Pokemon in the discard. We do see a Kilowattrel, which does 10 for each card in the discard with United Wings. It does not have the United Wings attack. Keep that in mind. But it does 10 Snipe, though. So kind of interesting. We see Ditto, the card that copies Pokemon from your discard. Doesn't work in live. Very unfortunate. But we also see the new Rowlet. Well, okay, we see Rowlet, but we see the new Dartrix, which I think this is the new Rowlet, but Dartrix has United Wings. It does it for one colorless on the stage one as well, which is okay. We got Flamigo. United Wings is a really cool deck, though, and kind of fun, kind of silly, but really cool. Now we see Squawkabilly. This list runs Pheasantipity EX. The past one, yeah, this one doesn't. But Pheasantipity EX, really nice, drawing through every single turn, really good. Also Secret Box, really good for the deck apparently. I guess that makes a lot of sense. It discards lots of cards, and you run Pokestop. You run you obviously run supporters and items. Every deck does that, and you can maybe find some tools to use as well. This next list, I can't see these cards very well in the top row, but we see Legacy Energy, really interesting there. You give up one less prize, and it just allows you to kind of preserve the game longer, which is really useful. This next list here has Light-Powered Engine, discard one, draw two. I mentioned it earlier. We see a bunch of them, really cool. A lot of Pokemon. That's oh wait, sorry, that's 27 Pokemon. That's so many. That's insane. That's a lot of Pokemon. Wow, that's pretty interesting. They have that many though. This next list, that might not be that much higher than the others. This list we see Radiant Charges as well. Really powerful card. Game Ender. Interestingly, it's kind of similar to the United Wings attackers, higher HP, but in terms of damage output, it's another Pokemon that does really big damage later on. So is it that useful? I'm not too sure to be honest, but it's interesting, and pretty cool. This list might have been one of the ones we looked at earlier, or maybe not, but it's got Lightbard, a 2/2 Lightbard. We also see Carmen in the decks as well. This list, we see, again, similar stuff. Nightly Stretcher might have been in the other list. We see Secret Box again. No Engine. Oh, wait, no. What is this grass Pokemon? Is that Rowlet? We see Kira, the Pokemon to counter Lost Zone. We see Iron Bundle, I think, and we see Pheasantipity EX as well. Oh, and Squawkabilly EX over here. So pretty cool. Lots of Pokemon again. Now moving on to a few decks that aren't this. We got Kingdra EX. This isn't Kingdra. We'll talk about those last two decks later in this video, but in just a moment, because Kingdra EX, it does 50 for each water energy attached to it. No, 50 plus 50 for each water energy attached to it. So it's very similar damage output to Chien-Pao EX. This is a stage 2, but it is tankier. It's interesting. I don't think it's that good, but you do have the single prize King Draw that lets you choose either player, yourself or your opponent, and that player shuffles the hand, puts it on the bottom of their deck, I believe. I don't think it's shuffling. And then they draw 4. Drawing 4, shuffle draw 4 essentially is really good. Or it's okay. I mean, we saw Marshadow. It's kind of like that, but it's different. It's not like a basic, and it doesn't affect both players. It only affects one. But it can be nasty disruption if your opponent has a massive hand. It can be awesome draw if you have no cards in hand. I think. Does it work if you have no cards in hand? I'm actually going to check. But no, so they need at least one card in hand. But if your opponent has a massive hand, it shrinks it down a lot. If you have only one card in hand, or even two, it's solid draw, and it's great for digging for cards. And then you run, is that Baxcalibur? Yeah, you run Baxcalibur, and then Kiram, or sorry, that's not Kiram, Palkia V-Star, and so you accelerate lots of energies. You're invading Ninja. It's like Chien-Pao Baxcalibur. I think it's worse, but it's kind of interesting. And this other list, very similar. It runs Barrel. I was like, is this different? It is different. So it runs Barrel. We get Irida. I'm assuming that was in the other one. Pretty cool deck, though. And one that I think some people will be really excited to try out. Lastly, we have two decks that are focused on a similar concept, but you have the Duskmore line, the Dusclops, where you can knock yourself out with either the stage 1 and the stage 2. And you can snipe, and this is a Pidgeot control deck, which I've either recently covered or will cover soon. And it's a really good deck, but you do struggle to take prizes. I don't know every card in this deck, what is that's the Ogre Pond. That's a Rotom V. So this is the Fighting Ogre Pond, the Water Ogre Pond, I believe, as well. You can't attack with the Water Ogre Pond's second attack though in this list. But then we see the Pidgeot, Mimikyu, Wall, and we also see Luxray. Luxray, if you're down on prizes, you can play it down onto the board, and then you can go and you can knock out sorry, with the Dunstorm, you knock yourself out. So you're down prizes. Then you can use Reverse Energy and hit 180, essentially as like a pseudo basic Pokemon, and you can hit Lightning Weakness, which is nice in certain scenarios. So really, really cool card right now, or in the future, when right now in Japan, in the future for us, when or you might be watching from Japan or one of those regions. So if you're watching from Japan, it's cool now. And for the people, most of my audience and myself, it will be really cool for us in the future, when these cards are available for us, and that would be really cool. But in Japan, it's doing interestingly, and this other list is focused exclusively on the combo. Essentially, you do have some other options, but mostly you're going to be going in with Reverse Energy, Luxray, giving up lots of prizes, applying a ton of pressure to your opponent, and knocking out a lot of their Pokemon. Also, you can counter catch her. I said this earlier. I talked about it more later though. Lost Zone, you want to counter catch her. And you can only counter catch if you're down on prizes. So you can knock yourself out. You'll be down on prizes, and you can counter catch her faster. If your opponent's wimping out, not taking any knockouts, you can go in, just like start swinging. And when I say swinging, swinging with counter catches, and then Luxrays, and you can do all this crazy stuff. So pretty fun here. I actually really like this concept. You do need to play this weird game of chicken though. If you go too aggressively, then you can't attack with Luxray, which is kind of funny. And then you also have the Blood Moon Ursaluna EX, which is really cool. It's probably the best Pokemon in the game right now, in my opinion. I mean, it's not the most played or necessarily most powerful. I mean, it's the best Frost Ass attacker in the game, but I mean, it's insane. It's less, one color, it's less for each attacker your opponent has, or sorry, a prize they've taken, Pokemon you've knocked out, and attacked and knocked out. So that's really really good, and you can just do massive damage. It's 240, and that's pretty solid. We also see Radiant Charizard here, filling a similar role to the Blood Moon Ursaluna EX. Really cool deck though. The Dunsparce Engine, not my favorite, but I know some people love it. And it's a weird deck where you can free your bench space and play stuff back down, which is fun. But anyways, that's all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. I have been doing way too much video stuff today, but I'm so excited to keep doing this because I'm so excited for the new set. It's coming. It's coming soon, and I'm excited. But I hope you are too. Consider subscribing to the channel if you are, because I will be covering in the future. But I hope you enjoyed, and as always, I'm excited to see you in the next video.